dead center. Next round's on you.
Something. I hope we can help Miss Minnie uncover what happened to her mother. I wouldn't wish the pain of not knowing on hardly anyone.
Something? You know I've got no love for top-rungers, but if Minnie's willing to pay, I say we take her money.
Sure.
Something
Hey, Cap. Something ain't right here, Captain. We ought to tread carefully. All this cloak and dagger for a journal? I ain't buying it. Yeah, the whole thing stinks of a cover-up. I'm used to folks leaving their messes behind for all the colony to see. Hell, look at Monarch. So imagine what they'd actually be trying to hide. Captain, it's gonna be bad. I know. We've seen our fair share of awful in this colony, that's for damn sure. Alls I'm saying is, be careful. Something feels different about this one.
I find myself marveling at the complex simplicity of the Fibonacci spiral. Perhaps it's just my judicious nature, but I think we should be careful if we're following up on this lucky fellow's message. I've always felt caution. He sounded lost. I couldn't have said.
Good. Sure.
We are now in orbit above Gorgon.
Hey, is that a saloon? I feel better already. This place is starting to remind me of home.
No one lasts long on Gorgon unprepared. You looking for supply, stranger? Let's stock up here. If you run low on bullets out in Gorgon's far reaches, let me know if you're looking... You mean you came out to this asteroid without knowing nothing about it? Me too. Heard it was wild here and couldn't resist. Trouble is, if you wander off to somewhere you oughtn't be, like way out in Gorgon's farthest reaches, odds are slimmer of your bits finding their way to my pockets. If you want my advice, stick close to the Sprat Shack, unless you fancy having your limbs torn off and eaten. All right, you know you better than I do. Just be sure you watch out for the Marauders. That's the #1 thing. Oh, and the Mance. You watch out for Marauders, Mance, and Charles from accounting. Only the meanest Marauder on Gorgon, and also anywhere else. That man is crazier than a bag of canids and twice as likely to bite. He will bust your head open like an overripe mock apple if he so much as sees you. I ain't joking. He'll snap you in half like stale bread noodles. No, you don't get it. Charles from accounting is like... Imagine if you took 3 of the most howling mad marauders you could find and mashed them together. That's Charles. That ain't right. Well, I warned you. If you run off and get exploded to death by a madman with a rocket launcher now, that... Yeah? The Marauder camp way out to the east. That's what I heard, at least. And I sure hope you're asking so you can keep... Yeah. His name is Charles and he used to work in accounting? Anything else you need? Huh? Oh, you don't gotta worry about that. It's got something to do with that scrap... Damn alarm's been hollering at us for 5 years if it's been a day. You know, I don't dream anymore. It's all, please evacuate in an orderly fashion. I think that alarm's gonna bang on for all time. I know, because even von Hoffman couldn't bash it in. And I seen that tough son of a gun throw a man clean across the Sprat Shack one time like he were a toss ball. Only that Spacer's Choice shut it down in a big hurry. From what I heard, some of their folks got left behind even. Don't seem like... Found a pickaxe in the mine like none I've ever seen before. Is that what my thoughts sound like? Hey again, stranger. What can I get?
Come here. Let's have a chat. All right, inspection time. Look at my eyes for as long as you can without blinking. Starting now. Good. Look up. Now look down. You're doing swell. Now, name and occupation. Good enough for me. You're cleared to pass. That was a sanity check. If you had changed like the others, it'd be in your eyes. You'd also be drooling, cursing, and making a mess of the place. Welcome to the Sprat Shack. You get... Every day, salvagers and scrappers set out to comb the ruins and make their fortune. The ones who come back, they aren't always the same men or women who left. First, they get real twitchy and paranoid, shouting at folks who aren't there. Then they smell... After that, they're gone. Nothing but animals wearing human skin. Seen it happen myself. It's never pretty. This is the Sprat Shack, the most remote watering hole in the system. Rule number 1, no fighting. Rule number 2, wipe your feet on the way downstairs. We're the only hospitable place on this rock. I want to keep it that way. That's why we... Bouncer, bodyguard, law enforcer.
That's us.
Well, I hope you look the other way just this once.
We get a lot of brand-loyal corporate types, and a lot of cutthroat freelancer types. Both sides have their share of dirty scoundrels. And I hate dirt. This is a sublight bar, so most of our regulars come to plunder the old labs. The facility's locked up behind miles of red tape, so progress is slow. A lot of time to drink and reevaluate, then venture out and try again. Something bad happened here. Spacer's Choice was developing chemicals. The kind with nasty side effects. Marauders outnumber the rest of us 10 to 1. Either they came from Gorgon, or something draws them here. I don't know which is worse. This place is under a dark cloud, stranger. That's all I know. Watch.
Oh, ugh. This place smells like Felix's birth.
Been an age since I had a good tripicale. Hope they've got it on tap.
Welcome to the Sprat Shack. First one's on the house, and I won't even water it down. What'll it be? Bottoms up. I assume you're here for salvage. Even if I did, I ain't supposed to play favorites. Most of my regulars are sublight scavengers. They pick over the ruins of Gorgon, spend their earnings at the bar, and head back out the next day. Vicious cycle, but that's life. Lucky. Sure, I knew him. He could get a little dramatic at times, but he was a good guy. Heard he took on a dangerous job. Spent a lot of time coming and going from the Office of Creative Incubation, just down the road. I don't ask about jobs unless people want to make it my business. Awful shame about what... You really want to hear my story? Law, most everyone around here is sick to death of it by now. Last I saw of Lucky was a few days ago. I went outside for a smoke and a stroll, and I saw this wild canid dragging a bloody limb. So I kicked the canid, scared it off. Get this, the canid was chewing on an honest-to-law human arm. Lucky's arm. I'm a bartender. Attention to detail is my middle name. Anyway, the arm was clutching a phonograph that mentioned someone named Alex Hawthorne. I did some poking around, and this Hawthorne has a reputation among the salvagers who frequent the bar. So I packaged up the arm nice and tidy and sent it care of the Halcyon parcel service. No kidding. And now you're here? Colony feels smaller than you'd think some days. I'm glad I was here to see this confluence of events, you know? The stars really aligned on this one. I figured Hawthorne would want to know what happened to his pal. Help Lucky get his affairs in order, you know. Oh, I hate to see people go with unfinished business. 3rd floor. Once I figured he wasn't coming back to pay his tab, I left his room unlocked to air it out. You can help yourself to anything you left. Fair warning, I've been letting the regulars use it for a quick lie down. Just wash your hands when you're done. Trust me. Spacer's Choice used to brew pharmaceuticals in these parts. That's why the asteroid smells like an old gym sock. They say Adrenatime came from here, just down the road at the old R&D lab. Very hush-hush back in the day. Roscoe might tell you more. He spent some time around here before the bar opened up. I trust him well enough. There's always Leonora, my favorite customer over in the storage room on the 2nd floor. Keeps to herself and always closes out her tab. He's been here since opening day. I think he told me he was some kind of journalist. He got left behind when Spacer's Choice pulled out. And I guess no one's coming to get him. He didn't tell me and I didn't ask. I'm his bart. If you believe the chatter, a lot of good folks got left behind, and a lot of bad folks made it out. Sometimes that's all there is to it. Roscoe's drinks are on the house. We all know how it feels to get left behind. He'll be all right. He's with the family now, and we take care of our own. Nice lady. Been coming around a lot these past few months. She isn't with Sublight, but seems to know the lay of the land better than anyone. She spends most of her days drinking alone. I think she's looking to hire someone, if you're open to a side gig. Now that you mention it, I thought I saw those two sharing stories over a pint. Didn't think twice about it. I don't speak ill of the dead, but Leonora deserves better company. That Lucky was no good for her. What if... I doubt anyone knows the full story. One day the evacuation order went out. Grunts and lab coats scrambled to get anywhere but Gorgon. And the weirdest thing of all, Adrenatime still hit the market. Me, I never touched the stuff. To each their own, but I think it's dangerous. Damn right we are. We've got drugs, scrap metal, prototype weapons, drugs, money, and more drugs. When Spacer's Choice evacuated, everyone dropped their gear and ran. Most of it, of course, the real treasure is whatever's locked up in the old facility. Until someone figures a way to crack it open. You got it, bub. Yes and no. The Sprat Shack used to be a shipping and receiving warehouse during the old Project Gorgon days. When Spacer's Choice pulled their guys off-world, Sublight moved in to salvage what we could, and they put me in charge. Yes and no. Rumor has it there's a Sprat wandering around the Groundbreaker, and he's the legal owner of the Sprat Shack. Hagen's idea. See, Hagen didn't want a paper trail that led back to her, so she gave the bar to the Sprat. If there were any legal problems with this...
You think a Sprat could own Edgewater? Oh, imagine one wearing Mr. Thompson's little hat!
Anyway, that's what the paperwork says. I don't make... Easy. His name's Matt. The beautiful thing is, no one could tell Matt Sprat apart from an ordinary vermin. I think that's kind of the point, to send the... I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. The Sprat Shack's gone. As far as business arrangements go, this one's a head-scratcher, but they say it's all... Yes and no. We're doing a lot more than squatting. We're classing up the joint, keeping the riffraff outside where it belongs. They didn't even serve drinks until I arrived. Talk about wasted potential. Yes. And no. Again, that one was Hagen's idea. She told me that speaking in vague terms keeps you out of trouble. Thirsty people come and go from all over the colony. Mostly on the way to some... That's how we get the unconventional goods anyhow. Sublight keeps us well stocked with the essentials. Good.
Are you my agent on the ground?
Sorry?
I've been sent to meet a certain someone about a certain piece of merchandise. They're supposed to use a secret code phrase.
Can't help you. I'm just here to drink.
That's the code phrase. It is you.
Quiet down. You're making a scene.
That was my salvage, Trixie. You had no right to it then, and you've no right to it now.
I risked my life sneaking around Marauders to claim that wreck. And I didn't see your name on it.
Now you've done it. Eat fist!
All right, that's enough! This is a family establishment! You want to make a mess? You make it outside!
But this was personal, Lex. It's a question of salvage. That wreck was gonna make me a fortune.
That's what I've been trying to tell him, but he won't listen.
It's the same fight every day. 5 years we've been at this, and we still can't agree on how to properly tag salvage. Now you two listen, this is my place. While you're in the Sprat Shack, you'll sit quietly, or I'll forbid you to come here at all. Is that understood?
Here, here. Bars are for drinking. The poor decisions that result are better left outside.
Fair's fair. I'll have a stout, and we'll settle this later on our own terms.
It's no good to leave a fight unresolved. If I don't do something, these two are... You do that for me? I appreciate it all the same. You'll be paid for your time and expertise, of course. Freddy, Trixie, go on and make your case to the generous stranger.
I'll start, seeing as I'm the one who's been most wronged in this equation. So, just up the road and due east of here, there's a shipwreck lodged in the mountainside, right? I staked my claim on that wreck. Then I wandered in for a drink. An hour later, Trixie swaggers in bragging about her salvage. Ugh, the nerve of some people. I climbed on top of it and called out in my loudest voice, "Finders keepers!"
I don't know about legal, but it's legit by Sublight standards. Assuming anyone was around to hear it, which we can't know for sure.
Someone must have heard me. They just ain't brave enough to step forward and admit it. What if I were to sweeten the deal? Say the salvage...
Bullshit. When I found the shipwreck, there were no salvage mark. See, the whole area was teeming with bloodthirsty marauders. So I snuck around and added my tag, clear as day so no drunken idiots could claim the salvage out from under me, Freddy.
For the record, when I heard the marauders coming, I left. Trixie must have set her mark down after me.
Quit leading the prosecution, Hullhead. Anyway, that's my story, ma'am. I drew an X in the dirt with my toe. Wouldn't surprise me in the least, but that doesn't mean it ain't mine.
In all my years, I've never heard a more contentious argument. I don't envy your shoulders for bearing the weight of responsibility. You've heard it from them both. So, who gets the salvage?
That ain't no kind of fair.
She ain't even from around here, Lax.
Here's a six-pack on the house, plus your fee. Maybe now we'll finally get some peace around here for a change. A little too often, if you ask me, but that's the sublight way. Anything worth doing is worth fighting over. Come and chat if you're ever feeling thirsty.
That's my captain.
Smooth talking, Cap.
I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
What are you looking at?
I may have been overserved.
Did you bring the payment?
I don't know. Did you bring the goods?
No payment, no goods.
Give me a taste of the goods. Just so I know I can trust you.
You can't trust me. Now, did you bring the payment?
I don't know. Did you bring the goods?
They like to blow off steam during work hours, but as soon as they clock out, they turn into a pair of kittens. So, what'll it be? Come back when you...
Damn. You got some nimble fingers, Captain.
Who do you work for anyway?
You, think the folks here like strangers? Because some of them are looking at us like, maybe not.
The repurposed aesthetic reminds me of Fallbrook. These sublight folks really know how to overhaul a place.
Jerome would have loved this place. You don't look like one of the salvagers, no? Don't really seem like the type. You've got the look of someone who's traveled far to get here and whose journey is far from over. You're kidding, right? This rock is littered with so many journals, logs, and phonographs you could open a library. I don't know if you're bound for the old ruins, but in case you are, can you look into something? I'd do it myself, but of course, the Marauders would eat me alive. Not for long. Looking for something out there. Been paying Sublight to help me, but they haven't made much progress. It is to me, but apparently it's junk to Sublight. My husband and I worked on Gorgon during the good times. Jerome was on maintenance duty. I cleaned out test tubes till they sparkled. That was above my pay grade, but it didn't take a genius to figure out the higher-ups were working on something big. Months after I got out, I saw the advertisements for Adrena time. I just knew. This is it, Leonora. It was all for this. Now that's a story. In his final hours, Gorgon was a war zone. Violence broke out in the labs. The hills were full of marauders. You couldn't take a leisurely stroll without an armed escort. When the order came through to evacuate, non-essential personnel drew a lottery to see who would board the first wave of ships. Jerome won. I lost. As soon as I wasn't looking, Jerome switched our tickets and pushed me to the front of the line. I got to leave. Jerome stayed behind. I never saw him again. That Jerome always chose the right thing, even when it got him killed. This place is greedy. It took my Jerome, and it would have taken me too. I just want one thing back. His old hip flask. I gave it to him the day we signed our marriage contract, and he carried it wherever he went. I know it's still here. No point in denying it, he died on this rock, likely torn apart by marauders, unless he took care of himself on his own terms. I don't like to imagine what happened. You'd really do that for me? Law. I don't have much, but if you help me... Jerome used to drink with his buddies in a small kitchen opposite the maintenance shed. Might be a good place to check first. Yeah? That old flirt? Yeah, I let him buy me a drink or two. He talked my ear off about exciting jobs he'd done. All lies, I'm sure. He fell asleep with his head on my shoulder. That man had baggage like you wouldn't believe. I didn't think anyone could be lonelier than me. He bragged about having the key to some sort of maintenance area in one of the old buildings. I never saw it, so I just assumed he was talking himself up. He also asked if I wanted to see something gross and slimy he kept in his room, but I declined, politely. He put on quite a front, but I think he was weary, like he'd seen too much and had too little to show for it. Guess we were kindred... Sure thing. The lab coats kept quiet about the project, but the air was charged with excitement. You could feel... I wanted to change the world. A tenfold boost to worker productivity with no side effects? Who wouldn't salivate at the thought? I don't know what went wrong, but when the shit hit the fan, it sprayed everyone in its path, including me.
Huh, who's this now? Wonder if they could... Nah, who am I kidding?
What's the story with this place anyhow?
Used to be a shipping warehouse. Supplies came in, deadly chemicals went out.
Who told you that?
I worked here back in the day.
You're pulling my leg.
Nope, it's true.
Holy shit, a fresh face. Haven't seen your like in years. Don't know what brought you to the most dangerous corner of this solar system. Oh, you talked to Lex yet? She tell you to keep it civil? You wouldn't guess to talk to her, but that lady's got a mean left hook. Some kind. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Got into reporting thinking I was gonna be some sort of public intellectual. What a joke. Spent 95% of my time playing stenographer to the board, and the rest writing puff pieces on the chairman's latest beard trim. Real life and death shit. If you're going back out there, do you think you'd be willing to do an old bastard a small favor?
You know, that reminds me. I don't think you've ever actually paid me.
Well, I've been trying to get away from this rock for 5 lobby-fucked years, but I can't stay gone. Told you I was a journalist, right? I was here on a story back when Project Gorgon was active. I was doing an interview series for Spacer's Choice. Recorded them all on these little portable phonographs. But when everything fell to shit, Spacer's Choice wouldn't let me leave. Terms of my reporting contract unmet, they said. Right on the money. Look at me, I'm no fighter. I've never even touched a gun. But you, help me get my recordings back so I can finally get the hell out of here. Someone had been trying to steal them since the day my assistant and I started interviewing. Couldn't even keep them in my safe. They always found a way in. So I took to hiding them all over the fucking asteroid. Thought I was so clever. Oh, I've tried, make no mistake. I've caught a couple of rides out with sublight folks, but the board's fixers always send me right back. And I'm not about to stand toe-to-toe with marauders just to fulfill. I've got some bits saved up. Haven't had anything to spend them on but beer. It's nothing extravagant, you know, journalist salary and all. No shit? All right. One of them I stash in the Office of Creative Incubation, in the projector room on the 3rd floor. I gave another to my friend Birdie to keep in her apartment, just outside OCI's upper entrance. Seems like a good idea at the time. Someone had started a fire, folks were shooting other folks. It was a madhouse. You'll find another in the chem lab. It's in the main lab storage room. Didn't have much of a choice. The primals had gotten loose, couple of them were chasing me. The recordings just ended up wherever I hid. The final one is in human inquiry and auditing. It's tucked behind a pipe in Observation Room B. What with the test subjects running loose, the researchers were surprisingly unobservant. Strength to your sword. Hey, did you Adrenatime, I'm sure you know it, was a drug, something to make folks work harder, work smarter. Had a lot of nasty side effects. Didn't seem so bad to me at the time, but then I hadn't met the test subjects yet. The whole thing was real hush-hush. A lot of worry about corporate spies, especially from Anti-Cleos. I probably shouldn't even be mentioning it to you, to be honest. Spacer's Choice, they're really not fond of spies. Not much, except that there was a whole gaggle of them, and so far as I could tell, they absolutely hated each other. Dr. Ambrose would hardly let me speak to any of them, but she complained about him all the time. Everything seemed like. Marion Blakesley, for example, lady who ran HIA, wouldn't return any of her messages. Not once, for years. Jasper Lowe, guy who headed up Chem, was high more than he was sober. He insisted on running special tests on primals, too. Law knows what for. Dr. Ambrose really had it out for this guy Lawrence Goodfellow. Ran OCI. Would lose his shit if he saw red on a schedule. By the end, I heard folks were turning in completely bunk progress reports just to keep him out of their hair. Had this little minion, too. An actuary named Clarence Mosley. Obsessed with quantifying every detail of his sad little life. Mosley was the guy who got me mixed up in all this. Asshole. Oh yeah, it wasn't just that Dr. Ambrose hated them. They seemed to hate each other, too. OCI pushed a ludicrous schedule. Chem made a bad product, and HIA returned garbage results. A regular merry-go-round of shit flying in every direction. It's no surprise it all fell apart.
So, corporate life in Halcyon.
Mister, I'm not about to tell you how to do your job, but I ain't think that metaphor's fit to print.
Editor always did say my prose was a bit purple. Or brown, in this case. Nice enough guy. fashioned himself one of those professional gumshoes, like in the serials. They usually work for the board, rooting out dissidents and the like. Lucky, though, he was freelance. Worked for anyone who paid, no matter their allegiance. You ask me, I think the guy just likes snooping around in folks' terminal messages. Next to nothing. He preferred to keep a tight lid on things. Not that he needed to keep secrets. Folks down here don't give two shits about anything but bits and beer. Been a long time since someone tried to butter me up. Can't say I hate it. So sometimes Lucky'd get deep in his cups and start going on about the ghost of Gorgon. But I didn't think anything of it. Guy also liked to say he could pop the cyst off a cysty pig at 100 paces with his eyes closed. Frenetic, chaotic, vicious, take your pick. I wasn't here at the start, but going off what folks told me about the early days, Gorgon started out with promise. The board's best and brightest were excited to work here, said it was a good posting. The project director had a vision and big, bold ideas. Nothing good lasts long in Halcyon. Thing is, the schedules coming out of the corporate office were unrealistic from the get-go, and they were trying to do the project on a shoestring budget. Couple that with the obvious personnel problems and toxic junk in the product, it was only a matter of time before it all went to hell. Sprat Shack legend has it they crawled out of the mines one day. Heard one fella suggest they might even be aliens. I think Halcyon wants us dead. Look at Monarch. The planet's pure poison. Folks can't eat the food that grows on Terra 2 without getting sick. Who's to say it's not something in the dirt or the water? I don't have proof, mind. It's just a hunch. Shit, any number of things. Fire, primals, sabotage. It didn't happen all at once, but it happened fast enough folks couldn't respond in time. Now, if you're asking how it all kicked off, might have been spies that did it. Corporate espionage, you know. Anti-Cleos. I never did figure it out. Not about to try now. Of course, I won't.
What have you got there?
Adrenatime, I think. Found some in an... old busted crate.
You're just gonna take some drug you found in the garbage?
It's not some drug. It's adrenatime. I don't see a label.
Someone's in here. Hold on. It's coming back up again. I'm all right. That last one really emptied my guts. No, wait. Here comes more.
preservative in before or after the eye comes out?
Ugh. I really hope this ain't a sign of things to come.
Pace yourself. The drink... As a matter of fact, he did. Collateral for the bard, and... No. Maybe. All right, yes. Here. I don't know what it unlocks, but... Be seeing you.
If you're heading down...
Don't you worry, Mr. Lucky Spirit. We're gonna finish your work and put you to rest, good and proper.
Whatever's out here, it better be worth carrying around a man's eyeball.